Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Ganana Tva Ganapatigam Havamahi Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashunvannotiभिस्सीद सादनम् Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं समस्तजनकल्याणी निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate. So we are going to see Avasthatrayam Kim today. We'll read it first. We'll read the Avasthatraya, then we'll read Jagrat Avasthaka and the dream state. Let us see how much today we can cover. So, Avasthatrayam Kim Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyavasthaha Jagrat Avasthaka Shrotradi Jnandriyaihi Shabdadi Vishayaischa Gyayate Iti Yata Sa Jagrat Avastha स्थूल शरीराभिमानी आत्मा विश्व इत्युच्यते स्वप्नावस्था केति चेत् जागृदवस्थायां यद्दृष्टं यच्छ्रुतं तज्जनित वासनया निद्रासमये यः प्रपञ्चः प्रतीयते सा स्वप्नावस्था सूक्ष्म शरीराभिमानी आत्मा तेजस इत्युच्यते. Actually, if we see the definition, yesterday I was telling you the same thing. When we see the definition of Atma Kaha on page 28, Atma Kaha, then at that time there we see that the definition of Atma in the Atma Kaha, Stula Sukshma Karan Sharirat Vyatiriktah. First thing was taken to negate the three bodies. After that, Pancha Koshatitasan. After that, the five koshas were negated. Then, third was Avasthatraya Sakshi, who is the Sakshi of all the three states. But here, when we are looking into the text, as it progresses, Bhashyakar, Bhagwan Bhashyakar has taken up the Avasthatraya before Panchakosha. Whereas in the definition, Panchakosha was initially taken up, but Avasthatraya was after that. Here, he has taken the Avasthatrayam first. Let's see what he does. After this Avasthatraya, then he will take the Panchakosha. So, Avasthatrayam Kim. What are the three states of consciousness that we feel that we are jumping into these three states? These three states being the waking state, the deep waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti Avastha. These are the three states. Now, what is the waking state? What is the waking state? Now, the waking state has been described as Jagrat Avastha Ka. Shrotradi Jnanendriyahi Shabdadi Vishaischa Gyayate. That state in which what is done, in which Shrotradi Jnanendriyahi, in which through the sense organs of perception, we are perceiving the Vishaya, the objects of the sense organs. What are the objects of sense organs? Shabdadi Vishayascha. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Corresponding to each sense organ, there are these five objects that it perceives that will make our Jagrata Avastha. Vyayate, that which is known. Iti Yasa Jagrata Avastha. That is called the Jagrata Avastha, the waking state. So, during the waking state, what are we doing? We are actually perceiving through our sense organs. All our sense organs are alert, all our sense organs are awake. It is not dissolved like in dream state or in deep sleep state. So it is perceiving the objects outside and it is giving us the impression. So we are actually having these three states. So what is the vivek here? Vivek has to be done that I am different than these three states. I am not these three states. I am not in waking state. I am not in dream state. I am not in deep sleep state. Because I feel that I am this state. I am waking. Just now I am waking. But actually my I is different than the waking state. That Atma has not gone into that waking state because it knows that afterwards when it goes to dream state also and when it goes to deep sleep state also, it knows that it had gone there, it remembers, so that Atma does not go anywhere. We don't see the waking state also fully. Actually, when we are seeing the waking state also, that time also we see it only partly. We are not aware of the waking state fully. So it is to tell us that when our experience is that I have got up, I was in dream state, I woke up. These are wrong experiences. I slept well, I got up. Okay, so these are all wrong statements. These are all not right. So these things to come to conclusion, to know that we are different from these three states, this has been explained here. So what is Jagrata Avastha? Why the sense organs of perception? When we are grasping, when we are perceiving all the objects around us, that is called waking state. So here it is given Shrotradi Jnanendriyahi Shabdadi Vishaischa. Both have been taken into account. What is it? The sense organs of perception as well as the objects outside. Both have to come in contact. If both are not in contact, then you cannot say that it is a waking state. Because if only he had given in the definition Shrotradi Jnanendriyahi, if the sense organs are all alert. But what will it see? What will it perceive? What will it touch? What will it taste? There is no meaning. So that is why the next word also was given Vishayi. The Vishaya has to be there. So then they come in contact with each other. And if you take vice versa, if you only take the Vishay, that the objects are there outside, but we need somebody to see. We need somebody who can perceive those things. So in this way, when both of them, the sense organs of perception and the outside objects, they come in contact, then they create certain impressions in our mind. That is called Jagrata Avastha. They create a knowledge in our mind. That is called Gyayate. Gyayate means the knowledge is created. Gyayate itiyasa Jagrata Avastha. That is called Jagrata Avastha. Okay, so now what is the difference between the dream state and this one, this state? In the dream state, our sense organs are not available. वो सब लीन हो जाते हैं. They are all dissolved into the mind. The mind also gets dissolved. The dream state, the sense organs of perception are not available, and that is why what does it do? When in waking state, it was awake, it was alert. At that time, the impressions that are created, those impressions help in projecting things in the dream. What does the mind do? The mind is partially available. The intellect is not at all available. And that is why some weird things appear in the dream. Because there is no discriminating faculty present at that time. And that is why, because of that, the impressions that were taken during waking state, when the sense organs were available during that waking state, after that, the impressions that are taken, they project itself. And when they project, then something weird comes out. So here, that is why Indriyahi, Shrotradi, Jnanendriyahi, Shabdadi, Vishaischa. Whatever is seen, that impressions are taken. That Gyan, that knowledge takes place there. This is very important. So what is the definition of Jagrata Avastha? The definition of Jagrata Avastha is Indriyahi Arthopalabdhaihi Jagrata Avastha. Indriyahi Arthopalabdhaihi Jagrata Avastha. So here, cha, Vishay is cha. Cha is very important. Cha means and. And. So this is Ubhay Patra and both are important. The Indriya, we need the sense organs also and we need the outer objects also. If one is absent, then we cannot say that it is Jagrata Avastha. Both of them, when they come in contact, then it is called Jagrata Avastha. So here, that has to be kept in mind. So this Sthula Sharirabhimani Atma Vishvetyujyate. Now, again, that Atma is there in the waking state, that Atma is there in the dream state and also in the deep sleep state. But in relation to the three states, that Atma has been given three different names. Again, when that Atma is related to waking state, Sthula Sharirabhimani Atma Vishvetyujyate. It is called Vishwa. That same Atma has been given another name called Vishwa. Okay, so this Atma has been given the name Vishwa. Abhimani means what? Abhitah manyate iti abhimani. Abhitah manyate, who thinks I am this body. From all the sides, he feels that this is, from all the angles, he feels I am this body. So there is one possessor. Abhimani means the possessor, the holder of that waking state is called Vishwa. So then the Vishwa is there. At that time only, with that Vishwa, the Tejas also, I mean the dream state Abhimani and the Pragya, the deep sleep state Abhimani, all the three are present. Because the Atma is same, Atma is one only. So the Atma in relation to different states has been given three different names. So this Vishwa, why is it being given this name called Vishwa? Vishwa, why is it given Vishwa? Because The whole Vishwa, the whole yeah, sense organs is perceiving all the objects of the world, and it is bringing inside. And that is why this is called Vishwa, because it brings in Vishwa. That is why it is called Vishwa. Sthula Sharirabhimani Vishwa. Okay, so now we see that when this Vishwa is there, then at that time only the Tejas and the Pragya. Tejas means the Abhimani of dream state, and the Pragya is called the Abhimani of deep sleep state. We will come to that. So when I got up, when I feel I got up from deep sleep state, there was somebody who did not go into that state. Again, when I felt I got up already from the deep sleep or dream state, I was dreaming and I got up. There was a personality in me that did not go into dream state or in deep sleep state. Who says that I have got up? Because the person who went inside, that is not the statement of that person, because he doesn't remember. Somebody else has to remember that yes, I was sleeping, I was dreaming. And that is why this avasthatraya vivek has to be done, that I am different than this waking state. I am different than this dream state. I am different than this deep sleep state. I am not one with these states. These states are passing on me. I am different from them. If 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 the Vishwa was already there, and if the other two, Tejas and Pragya, are not there, then, and if the Atma is also not there, who will take the impression from one state to the other? When we dream and when we get up, sometimes we forget, but mostly we remember the dream. When in the waking state we are taking impressions, who's the one who's taking those impressions into the dream state? There has to be someone who's linking both the states. And that linking point is through that Atma. Atma is linking. How? It is the substratum, it is the adhishtan on which all the three states are appearing and disappearing. It's so interesting. But what do I feel right now? I feel that I am in waking state right now. I am waking. I am dreaming. I am sleeping. So we have to change our experiences when we say that. Okay. So these three states are only to make us discriminate that this Atma and these three states are very, very different. There is one unchanging I and the waking state. That unchanging I, that Atma, does not go into any experiences. It is the holder of all the experiences. It is taking all the experiences. And it does not change at all. So the experiences, that the impressions that it takes during the waking state, that only it will project during the dream state. Very interesting. And whatever impressions you are taking, it is, and you cannot say that if you're dreaming something today, that impression was taken yesterday. It may be 20 years back, it may be of past births, who knows? Those impressions are lying inside. And when it will fructify into a dream, we don't know. So it is this waking state is also known by the sense objects, because if the sense organs and sense objects are not there, if the sense, see, there is a power in the sense objects also to make itself known. If the sense organs are sitting quietly, you are traveling. Suppose you are traveling in a car and it is dark outside, it's evening time or night time, and you're traveling. Suddenly you see there is a light and you see a hoarding. There's an advertisement outside. So that light has entered into your eyes. And then you see that, and that object enters into your mind, into the sense objects, the sense organs. So that sense object outside has the capacity to make us know itself, even though the sense organ at that time is sitting very quietly. I'm not listening to anything, but suddenly some loud music comes into my ears. I listen. So the sense objects also have the capacity to make itself known. Outer world can force itself into us through this sense organs. So both are required, and that is why cha has been given, and both are required. And sthul sharira abhimani, this is a technical word, abhimani. Abhimani does not mean that there is pride. The holder has to be there. The holder, the same Atma, when it is related to the Sthula Sharir, gross body, and that time it is called Vishwa. So, Abhita Manyate, through which I define myself, is called waking state or Abhiman. In this state, I define myself. So, this is called this is called Jagrat Avastha. Okay, so here Atma is identified completely to the gross body. Unless Atma gets identified, he won't see the world. He won't see the five elements. And that is why we have given this word called Vishwa. He becomes that Atma only is now called Vishwa because it is perceiving everything. Shabda, it is experiencing Rasa, Shabda, Sparsha, Roop, Rasa, Gandh, everything it is experiencing through its sense organs. So here that is why it is completely identified to the object. So where is the seat right now? From there, the Atma has been given certain definitions. So when that Atma is identified to the Sthul Sharir, to the Indriya, to the sense organs, to the objects outside, at that time it is called Vishwa. Okay, now the next thing is dream state. Anybody has got any questions regarding this? Or last class, I don't know how many of you revised. Anybody has any question? Otherwise, we can go on. So now the next is called dream state. Swapnavastha, dream state. Now what is dream state? Swapnavastha keti, ka iti. Okay, you can split that word as ka plus iti. Swapnavastha, it is striling because Swapnavastha akarant is said. It is it is striling. Ka iti chet. What is it? Jagrat avasthayam yad drishtam, when whatever impressions have been taken during the waking state, yad shrutam, whatever is heard, tad janit vasanaya, through the vasana, through the impressions, through the tendencies of those impressions, nidra samayaha ya prapancha pratiyate, during sleep, and when we are sleeping, at that time when it prapanchayate means what? When it is expanding itself, that is called swapnavastha. That is called swapnavastha. And that's sukshma sharirabhimani. Here at this moment, he is identified, that Atma is identified with the subtle body. This subtle body at that time is called Tejas Ityuchyate. It is called Tejas. So Vasana is formed during the waking state. Waking state Vasana, whatever we are hearing, whatever we are touching, whatever we are smelling, seeing, that passes over to the chitta, to the memory. It is passed on to the memory, and there it leaves an impression. And when we are into sleep, when we go up to sleep, at that time, this mind, because it is not fully guided by the intellect, because intellect is also not working. So that is why there is no discriminating power at that time left. That is why it projects something. It will project. So you can't act without any impression. Unconditional vyavhar is not possible. We are continuously taking impressions during the waking state. During the waking state, we are continuously taking impressions. How a person talks, his gestures, what are his intentions, how the person spoke to the other person. Everything, all the impressions are taken on the soft mind and impressions are formed. Then this is called vasana. Yeah. This is called vasana. Vasana. Vasana also means fragrance or smell. Vasana also means cloth. Cloth also is vasana. So that is why here, as if all the thoughts and all the actions have been dipped into the impressions and they are coming out. All our thoughts are not unconditional. They are conditioned by some impression that has been taken by us either in the past or sometimes in past births. But you cannot say that it is unconditioned. All our actions, whatever we are saying, whatever, either we have seen our parents doing that, either we have seen our parents using those words. Some sanskar, some impression is carried over. It's very interesting. So this is how the impressions, when we again act upon it, these impressions become very strong. Okay, so that is why it is very difficult to get out of our rag, out of our dvesh, because they're very deep into us. Those impressions have been made by us. They have been during our waking state. Those impressions have been taken. Okay, so this is unless a person does a lot of sadhana, a lot of upasana, he will be carried away by those forceful impressions, by those vasanas, because those vasanas will force him to work, force him to act as per its desires. It won't leave you alone like that. So we have to be very careful with these vasanas. So what does it happen? When does it happen? Nidra samay. It is not happening in waking state. It is now happening in nidra samay. So sleep here means what? He is dead to the gross body. The gross body, he is not available to the gross body. He is completely dead. He does not know about his body at all. He is not identified to the body at all. Nidra samay. So there is a switch over. The gross body is not there. So this is not at all about daydreaming. Daydreaming is completely different. Daydreaming, we are awake, and that time we can perceive the outside objects. We can perceive the world, everything. We are perceiving. The brain is working, intellect is working, whatever we have, that is working. The mind is working. But here, when we are calling it a dream, at that time the intellect is not there at all. So there is no discriminating faculty. The mind is partially working, not fully. Whatever impressions are there, that comes now. It has got full freedom to come and attack. So it is what it is. It is phala pradhan. It is phala pradhan. What does it mean? Phala pradhan means it has come to give you certain phala, fruits of action. It has come to give you certain bhog. Either it may be sukh or it may be dukh. When it is said that, yes, I saw a very bad dream today. Many times it happens with all of us. So there was a tinge of sorrow that needed to be exhausted by us. So it got exhausted in the dream. That is why it did not come in waking state, but in the dream state only. It came and it went away. So it is phala pradhan. You don't have control over it. And please don't try to think too much about the dream also. I've seen many people who get very carried away by the dreams. They feel that something is going to happen, something wrong is going to happen. It's not like that. Unless you're very pure, unless you've done a lot of sadhana. So these dreams are actually bhog pradhan, phala pradhan. Those impressions now open the shop. Those impressions have opened their shop. And that is why it is called ya prapanchaha pratiyate. Prapancha means prapancha also means the sansar. So it has opened its box now. Pandora's box is open now. Now it can show you anything. That which was inside, that which was seen by me sometimes, by the sense organs, perceived by the sense organs in the few past, that it will come. Even the lion is called Panchanan because it expands its mouth. So wherever it is expanding, it's called prapancha. Pra means what? Pra means perfect, complete, full, excess. Pra plus pancha. It is expanding itself. It expands. And is it real? No. Is something false. Prapancha pratiyate. It is not real. It is not real as in the waking state. But it feels like at that time we feel that it is real. And when we are in the dream, till we are in the dream, we feel everything is real. In dream also, prapancha is there. So it is difficult. So similarly here also, everything here, whatever we see in this world, actually when you see in Mandukya, only two states are given there. Waking state is not mentioned there at all. Mandukya says there are only two states, deep sleep and dream. Where is the waking state got? They say there that the dream, the waking state is a long type of dream. It is not separate than a dream. Very interesting. Because here, and they have compared the dream state with the waking state. What are the common points in dream state and in the waking state? Very interesting, sometimes we'll see. So here also, everything, whatever the impressions are taken, those impressions are only expressing through this. And Sukshma Sharirabhimani Atma Tejas Ityuchyate. See, whatever is here, when we talk about Chatushloki Bhagavat, there also in Bhagavatam it is written, Rite Artham Yat Pratiyeta Chatmani. Everything is as if experienced here, it is not there actually. What is not there, that is seen. Again, after some time, that won't be seen. Something is seen, again, it is not seen. Before also, it was not seen. So during its presence also, actually, it is absent. Rite artham yat pratiyeta chatmani. Everything is so illusory here. 50 years back, your body was not there. 50 years ahead, your body won't be there. Now in present also, the body is seen, but it is seen in its absence. It is not there. So this is compared to the dream state. Everything is pratiyate. Here pratiyate word means it is not actually there. but it is seen as if real in the dream state. So the Sukshma Sharirabhimani Atma Tejas Uchyate. Sukshma Sharirabhimani Atma is called Tejas. Like there it was called Vishwa because it was bringing in the whole Vishwa. It was giving the sense organs, all the objects of the Vishwa. That was called Vishwa. Here it is called Tejas because it is made up of thoughts. Thoughts have brilliancy. Thoughts have knowledge aspect. Thoughts have light. They shine. And that is why it is called Tejas. It is called Tejas. Like same person when he is at home, he may be a father, he may be a husband, he may be a son. The same person when he goes to the office, there his designation, his name changes. The same person when he is out, he is different person. Same person when he is in the hospital, he becomes a patient, isn't it? So, as per the state, as per the situation where he is in, he has been given different names. Similarly, this Atma also, as per the relation to the body it is identified to, it has been given different names. So when it is identified to this subtle body, this Atma only has got another name called Tejas. If Atma had really become Vishwa, if that Atma was really Vishwa, then it won't give up that Vishwa and it won't become Tejas. So when at present, we are all Vishwa. That Atma is called Vishwa. I hope so. So at present we are Vishwa. But when we are identified to that dream state, that same Atma we become Tejas. That means if that position has been left by somebody, during that period also it did not carry that position. It did not change. So actually, we are not Tejas, we are not Vishwa. We are not that because it's not changing. If it would have changed, then it would have not gone into some other state. Like if the milk has turned into curd, you cannot bring back that milk again because it has changed its quality. Now that milk has become curd, curd has become butter. Now you cannot get the milk out of that butter or that curd. Similarly, if that Vishwa would have become Tejas when we are into dream state, or if it would have become Pragya, we will never get back the Vishwa. Or if now we feel, okay, these two states are not real, but waking state is very real. For us, waking state is very real. So if Vishwa was real, then it would have never gone into Tejas and Pragya. It would never go into dream state. It will never go into deep sleep state. How can it change? Because it has already become curd. Now you cannot bring back that milk. So that is why here our attention is on the word uchyate. Ityuchyate. Tejas ityuchyate. Uchyate means it is called. It is not being, it is not being like that. It is not becoming something. It is called like that. So Atma is not a waker. Atma is not a dreamer. Atma is other than all these three states. Okay. So here, when it becomes Vishwa, when it becomes Vishwa, it is the window through which it is bringing in the whole outside samsar into his mind. And second meaning is completeness. Vishwa means completeness. The whole, all the sense organs of action and perception are fully awake. He can act. They are complete. Jagrat Avastha gives you, it gives you more availability to do Purusharth, as all the sense organs are present at that time. So two meanings of Vishwa. First one is that it is a window through which the sansar, the world, comes into our mind. The second one is completeness. Even in Vishnu Sahasranam, it starts with Om Vishwam, Vishnu Rashatkaro. It starts from Vishwam. So here also it means it is complete. It is giving me completeness. It is complete in itself because all the sense organs are available to do the Purusharth. All the four Purushas are done Kam Moksha. It is available in the waking state, not in the dream state. I told you that it is a bhog state. It is a phal pradhan state. You don't have much control. Moksha can be attained in this Vishwa state only. Moksha can be attained only in this Vishwa state and not in deep sleep or in dream state. Although ignorance is in all the states, but dream is bhog pradhan. Ignorance is present in all the states. Okay, but here when we are saying it a dream, when we are calling it a dream, dream is bhog pradhan. Sometimes it happens that if somebody is a very good seeker, his upasana or his jap may continue in dream also. It can continue. But still, here, dream is more of a phala pradhan, bhog, and not for sadhana. Waking state is for sadhana. You cannot say that, yes, I did my jap in dream. I've completed my mala in dream. It's not possible. So fullness of dharma, artha, kam, moksha, purusharth, that is in this state only. Freedom is not there intellectually or mentally in the other two states at all. So that is why from this angle of sadhana, it becomes this state, waking state, becomes very, very important and relevant for us because we can gain the highest in this state only. We can gain moksha also in this state only. Now, those people who say that subtle body does not exist at all, then dream won't be able to be proved. We cannot prove dream state. Are you getting me? How will we prove dream? Because during the dream we don't have identification to the gross body at all. But the subtle body is fully there. We are identified to the subtle body. That is called Tejas state. This also proves that gross body and subtle body are separate. One point. Second point, subtle body can be without the gross body also. It proves death also. It proves dream also. It proves subtle body also. So many points are proven by this state. I don't know whether you are getting it and whether it is interesting for you or not. But for me, it is very, very, very interesting. And I feel, yes, the subtle body carries so many impressions. And the subtle body only throws me into various yonis, various births, various situations. And I am a transmigratory jeev that has no solace in this world. It is from one point to the other. It is continuously jumping, hopping from who takes experiences? One experience, it's hopping from one experience to the other experience. Who has those experiences? The subtle body. So the subtle body, this proves a subtle body can exist without that gross body also. Because at that time, during the dream state, at that time, we are completely identified to the subtle body, but not at all identified to the gross body. As if gross body is not there, we are dead to it. The experience of the gross body is dependent on the subtle body, but the experience of the subtle body is not dependent on the gross body. Did you get this point also? The experience of the subtle body is not dependent on the experience of the gross body, but experience of the gross body is dependent on the subtle body. If my mind is not there, mind is not present, I am concentrating on some other issue, and if my mind is not present at that time, means my subtle body is not there. Something will prick, or some mosquito will bite, or something will happen to my hand. I got hurt in my hand. I won't realize it. It happens to all of us because that subtle body is not present. To experience the gross body, we need the subtle body, but not the other way around. Okay, so these points we have to remember. So in dream, you don't remember the waking. In dream, you don't remember the waking state. But in waking state, you remember the dream. So in Tejas, when you are in Vishwa, what does it mean? When you are in Vishwa, at that time, Tejas is there. But when you are in Tejas, Vishwa is not there. I don't know if you are getting this point. When we are in waking state, we remember our dream. That means that Tejas is there. Tejas is there with the Vishwa. But when the Vishwa, when we are in Tejas, when we are in dream, we don't remember the waking state. That means the Vishwa is not there at that time. When we go into Pragya, then this Tejas and Vishwa both are not there. Only the Pragya is there in deep sleep. We'll come to that point. So Vishwa includes Tejas and Pragya. But the Tejas does not include Vishwa. It will include Pragya. Simple. It is very simple. It's not that complicated. Did you get my point? Tell me. Who did not get it? I'll explain again. Pinky, Shubhashish, Nitali. Did you get it? Pinky?
Yes, Amma.
Explain. Shubhashish, explain.
Amma, like in deep sleep, our all organs goes in a lean, and only Atma is awake. Means Atma is there, and
Explain this thing. When we are awake, I mean when we are in the waking state at that time, compare it to the dream.
like if we are in a waking state, then uh,
Do we remember dream?
yeah, it's depend. It's
Yes,
depend.
yes. If we remember.
Yeah,
Okay, it depends. We remember the dream. So when we are remembering the dream, that means who is there with the Vishwa?
uh, the subtle body.
Yes, the subtle body is there. So the
Yeah.
Abhimani of that subtle body is called
Uh,
Abhimani of subtle body, Shubhashi?
Tejas.
Tejas. So with the Kinki, with the Vishwa, this Tejas is there, has to be there.
Yeah.
But with the Tejas, the Vishwa is there or not?
Yes.
Why? It is there. How can it be there? Because when you are in dream, you don't remember the waking.
Yes.
You
We
don't
don't
remember
remember.
the waking. So that
Hmm.
is why that is gone. The Vishwa is gone. Only the Tejas is left. So the Tejas is there, but there is no Vishwa at that time. Because we don't experience. Talk about your experiences. When in dream, you don't remember waking.
Hmm.
When in deep sleep, you don't remember dream also, you don't remember waking also. Both are gone. But when you are waking, you remember all the you remember dream also, you remember deep sleep also. So all of them are there. But one by one, they leave. So when the Vishwa is there, whenever Vishwa is there, all the three are together. But when dream is there, the first one, before that, it leaves. But it is accompanied by the next one. The Pragya is there. Similarly, when you go into Pragya in deep sleep, the earlier one will leave. Tejas will leave. Because we don't remember the dream. We don't remember the waking state in deep sleep state. We don't remember anything at that time. So only Pragya is there. This is how it goes. Is it clear?
Yes, Amma.
Shivashish, you asked something in between. Did you want to ask any question? In Swapnavastha, we can see that if we touch any object, we can feel the heat of the sun as well. How is it possible? That is all with the impressions. If imagine a person who hasn't seen sun at all, who is always in the dark, who does not know that something called sun exists, he won't have the impression, he won't dream about sun. Anything that is in the dream, that impression has been taken in the waking state, either in this birth or past births. I know of some saints who get shrutis in their dream. That is, somebody told them, and then when they try to verify those shrutis, they're actually existing. Swami Akhandanandji Maharaj used to get such shrutis in his dreams. And then he went to some scholars. He asked them, then that is there something called this Shruti exists? The scholars then referred to books and all. They referred to Vedas and they found that that Shruti existed. So these Mahatmas are not born in one shot, in one birth. They must have carried their impressions since last births. So if he has seen, if he has seen anything in the dream, that means he has taken that impression in the waking state sometime or the other. It's not possible that there was no impression and suddenly it came out. Because this subtle body, this proves rebirth also. This proves that the subtle body is traveling also. This proves that we had our subtle bodies in the past, and as per the impressions of those past, we are getting experiences in this birth also. Otherwise, it's not possible. So, how many things we have proved through dreams? Tell me one by one. Shubhashish, is it clear? Your question that if we teach that if we touch any object, we can feel the heat of the sun as well. How is it? Is it clear? Okay. Now tell me what things did we prove from the dream state and the waking state? Come on, fast. We don't have much time. I have to leave. One by one, everybody can tell me. What all things did we prove? Waking state and dream state. First and foremost, what is waking state? Come on. What is waking state? What do you do in waking state? This is not right. You are all in deep sleep state or in waking right now. Yes, when we perceive all objects outside, we perceive through our
Sense organs.
sense organs. Sense organs, we are perceiving the objects outside. This is called waking state. So, what is that Atma called during the waking state?
Vishwa.
Vishwa. Okay, so that Vishwa is taking all the impressions. The sense organs are awake, alert, and what is it taking? It is taking the impressions from outside world. Right? Now come to knowledge is created. Yes. Now come to dream state. What happens in the dream state? Fast. Why are you also dull? Answer me fast. Unmute yourself and answer.
The impressions taken in the waking state. That forms
Impressions
the
are
part of the
taken.
dream.
Yes,
Yeah.
waking state impressions are carried forward in the dream state. The impressions are taken. In the waking, the impressions are taken. So, what is it? Can we do? Do we have control over the waking? Control over the dream state?
No.
So it is phala pradhan. There is no control. It is bhog pradhan. It is phala pradhan. Whatever bhog has to be given, fruit has to be given to that jeev, the dream comes and exhausts it to a certain limit. Okay, now what does it prove? It proves at during the dream state, are we identified to the gross body?
No.
No. What are we identified to?
Subtle body.
Subtle body. Hmm. So we are identified completely to the subtle body at that time. So this means that we do not need the gross body. We do not need the gross body to complete my sentence. Experience
To experience the dream.
the subtle body. Yeah, dream. To experience the subtle body, we do not need the gross body. And the vice versa, is it correct or wrong?
No.
So
No.
to experience the gross
Yes.
body, we need
We
the
need
subtle
subtle.
body, but not the opposite. We do not need. So both of them, another point proven is they both are different. They both exist separately. They both have their separate existences. And this subtle body, this is traveling. It is carrying impressions. From the waking state, it is carrying the impression and then it is traveling. Okay, so when we are proving rebirth, when we are proving death, when somebody says there is no subtle body, we cannot prove this. To prove that the existence of subtle body is there, we can prove it through dream state. That in the dream state, that Atma only is in Tejas. The Atma is called Tejas and it is with the Pragya, but not with the Vishwa. Vishwa is not there at that time. So we have proven all this. You please, all of you all revise. And if you have any doubts, you please ask me. After this, we come to the Sushupti Avastha, deep sleep state, that we will see next Friday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।